Hey there, video number 27. Today I want to talk about the methodology that I use, and there are different variations of the prototyping methodology, and usually it has 3, 4, or 5 steps, but to be honest, they're all similar, and some people do not include the last step that I prefer to include, iteration, and also technically prototyping is a part, just one of the steps, and it all should start with ideation, then prototyping, then testing, then extracting insights and analyzing the testing data, and the fifth one is iteration. And even though there are more simplistic ones which are just prototype, test, learn, that's from the lean startup movement that Eric Ries sort of like defined a few years ago, which I'm a big fan of. But I prefer to use 5 steps because it provides more clarity, especially for somebody who's just beginning their journey into prototyping and validating their products and ideas. I think it gives a better visibility into each step, which I will describe in the next videos. But just for now, remember that you should start with ideating, which is defining what you're trying to test and validate. Second phase is prototyping, when you create the prototype itself and you decide which one, like what kind of fidelity you need and the scope and tools that you need for that. Third one is testing, which is one of the most critical ones because it's easy to make mistakes there and ask the wrong questions and test and stumble upon some wrong data if you don't test correctly. The fourth is how do you really decode the results of the testing and all these insights that you received from your users or from the participants of the test, because you don't really want to follow all the requests and suggestions that you hear. You have to really be careful what you really take as a fact, or how do you really try to dig deeper into what you heard during the testing, because quite often the direct words, the exact words that you hear may be misleading, and they may you may make wrong conclusions if you just follow what people say. So that's an important step. And the fifth one is how you really update and tweak your product or prototype, and basically about iteration, to go for the next round of testing, because usually, like, I haven't seen a product that when it's enough, it's enough, like you get enough insights just after one round of testing. Quite often you would need a few, and in order to get to the second round and just not test the same prototype but continuously evolve it, you need to iterate it based on the feedback that you hear. And sometimes it may be just a slight iteration, sometimes it may be quite a significant, almost like a pivot of the product, depends on what you hear during the testing and what insights you decide to choose to incorporate in your next version. That's it for today. Cheers.